Hello traders and Market Club members everywhere. Adam Hewison here, coming to you from the digital studios of Market Club. Well, we had the break, but look at where it's coming from. All the indices have had problems at this area. We pointed this out repeatedly in the last couple of weeks, but look at this. Every time we've gotten up here, we've had a sharp drop. And I think we're going to have something very similar, and maybe Brexit, or the referendum that's taking place on the 23rd of June in Great Britain, whether or not they should stay in the EU, is probably going to be the catalyst to push the market down. But let's just take a closer look at what's been going on just the last couple of days. We'll go to a 3-month chart. This is the S&P 500 that we're looking at, and you can see we've had 4 days in a row down. We've dropped below a parabolic line. That's not a good sign. You can see when we did it here, we sort of drifted lower. But we've also gone below the 50 line right here, which is not a good sign either. So you've got two things that have occurred just in the S&P alone, and that is you've got the move below the parabolic right here and the move below the 50 line right here. So again, not good signs. Our trade triangles are still showing green, indicating the trend is still up, but we also have a 55, which is a trading range. So you really want to be on the sidelines here until a defined trend is set in place. And right now it hasn't been done. So let's see how that plays out in the days ahead. Pretty much the same picture with the Dow. You can see the Dow actually tried to get not quite as strong as the S&P 500, but you can see it sort of made an attempt to go higher like here, kind of failed. This is the resistance right here, part of the resistance, I should say. So again, failed, came back down. It's below the parabolic, below the 50 line, all of which is not necessarily a good sign for this market. Signals are still positive longer term. It's a trading range. We just have the daily that's below 55, much like the S&P 500. So it's a trading range. Be careful. But the concern I have with this market and all the markets is that if we scope this out just a little bit further, let's say 2 years, is this in fact market is just rolling over like it did before to the downside? And that's something I really want us to try to avoid, and that is the sort of big move like this to the downside. And I think that's the concern I have. But I would say potentially we're going to be looking at the 15.5, 15.8, 16,000 level on the Dow, which is quite a bit lower than we are right now. So let's be careful with that. But let's wait for our signals to occur to get really super negative, but be out of the market. Pretty much the same pattern on the NASDAQ, but the one thing I'm looking at the NASDAQ, which is sort of stands out to me, is the potential for a double top, which is right here. If we go below this point, we've pointed this out before, it's a pivot point, indicating a move, let's say from 4,700. Let's call that 5,000. So 300 points below that takes us to around this level here, which takes us back to these levels right here. So I would think we're going to see, if we break this level right here, the 4,700 level, we're going to see the market move down to 4,400, in my opinion. Plus we have a move below the 50 level, which is not a good sign. And our trade triangles are showing us, again, a trading range. So be careful on this market as well. This is July gold, still strong, still going higher. All of our trade triangles, I believe, are green, indicating a very strong trend. And we see this market going higher, particularly if it closes over the 1,300 level, which is right here. This is where we consider to be the last level of resistance. If we go back and see this market for a couple of years, you can see a clearer picture. Let's go back and look at the spot chart, because that's the key one to look at, which is right here. And let's just put a simple line chart on, and let's take everything off, make it very, very simple. And you can see quite clearly that the 13 line is right here. If we go over that, this has been talking about quite some time now. If we go over that, we're going to see a move probably at least to 15 or even $1,600 an ounce. So it's a nice move. Be prepared psychologically and mentally. Be prepared to be a buyer. You should be long gold right now. And I will show you something at the end of this video that I think you'll find interesting. So let's take that off the screen. This is crude oil. It's enjoyed a pretty nice move up from the lows here. If we can draw a trend line, let's just get this a little closer in. And let's say a couple of years. Let's say, let's scope this in. So we could draw a trend line, shows you still the trend is up, and the trend line tool is right here. Just click on the lows, the most important lows, so you have a low here potentially. It would be better if you have 3 of them together. You could possibly go with that one, but nonetheless, the trend is clearly on the upside for crude oil. We may see some pullbacks, but all of our tools, with the exception of the daily, which means you should be out of this market, at 49.44. We have 65. It's a trading range right now, but be looking to get back into crude oil on the long side. We're right pretty much on the 50 line for support. But what I want to show you is if you go to our trade triangles tools right here, and we look for equities, search volume over 2 million shares and weekly trade triangles. Press that, scan, and you can see if we scope this out and sort it out the way we want to sort it, you can see all the top markets are Nova Gold Resources, World Tower, SBR Gold Shares, Shares Gold, so forth and so on, Silver Trust. Most of them are metals, silver and gold. That's showing you where people are putting their money. If you go on the very opposite end of the spectrum, where people are getting out, you're seeing Wells Fargo. You're seeing a lot of banks, Community Bancorp. You're looking at, I think, Citigroup was here, American Express. These are all financial companies. People are ditching those and going into precious metals. That should be the strongest lesson we learned today with today's video. Hey, I'm Adam Houston. Thanks for watching, and every success. And be careful. This is going to be a tricky market until we finally get a decision on the referendum on the 23rd of June from Great Britain. But a lot of things can happen between now and then, so be on your guard. Every success.